Just as Amory's history is tied to the railroad, so is much of its musical legacy. Several generations of blues, soul, and gospel performers came from the families of African American workers employed here by the Frisco line. Others worked as sharecroppers or for local businesses. Lucille Bogan was a prominent blues recording artist in the 1920s and 30s, and other Amory performers included Frank Swan, James Whitfield, Roger and Dudley McKinney, the Top Hats, Al Rachel, and Michael Freeman. This is Amory, Mississippi, blues from a railroad town. Let's go. What's going on, good people? This is P9 coming at you guys with another vlog, and I am here in Amory, Mississippi. So there's a lot to unpack about this historic railroad town in northeast Mississippi. So let's get into it, shall we? Now I'm about to make my way down historic Main Street right here in Amory, Mississippi. And Amory, Mississippi is a city located in Monroe County with a population of about, as of the most recent census, 6,666, which is down from 7,316, which was in 2010. So we're talking about a 12%, 11.6% decrease in the population since that time. But just to give you some historical background, as it comes to Amory, it was a city that was built as a railroad town when it was incorporated in 1837. Or excuse me, incorporated in 1887 by the Kansas City, Memphis, and Birmingham Railroad. So basically what ended up happening is that as you can see right here, it's really nice iron bench right here. But yes, how Amory came about was that there needed to be a halfway point between Memphis, Tennessee and Birmingham, Alabama. And Amory being so close to the Alabama line, but located obviously in Mississippi, it was situated and it was selected by the railroad companies to be a railroad stop. So the Mississippian Railway also operates out of Amory, and this is in memory of Bill and Susie Tubb. So that's really cool how they did that. And check this out. This is the Vinegar Bend Blues Alley. It's really dope right here. You see this mural right here shows Ground Zero Blues Club. And this right here, the Vinegar Bend Blues Alley. And here is another one of these benches. This one is in memory of Earl and Grace Glasgow. And we have a nice little mural right here of what looks like a, can't really tell what that is. I was going to say a butterfly. It looks like a merge between a butterfly and a tree or something like that, and a heart. Yeah, I can't really tell what that is. It looks like a butterfly, tree, and a heart, but it's really nice. And it's hashtag Amory Main Street and hashtag Get Downtown, and I believe this is the artist. It has AHW with a paw print, so Shout out to the the muralist who did this and this nice painting right here. And it looks like they have a little sound stage right here and some seats, some benches. But I want to get some information on this marker. Amory, Mississippi, blues from a railroad town. And just as Amory's history is tied to the railroad, so much of its musical legacy is tied to it as well. Several generations of blues, soul, and gospel performers came from the families of African American workers employed here by the Frisco line. Others worked as sharecroppers or for local businesses. Lucille Bogan was a prominent blues recording artist in the 1920s and 30s, and other Amory performers have included Frank Swan, James Whitfield, Roger and Dudley McKinney, the Top Hats, Al Rachel, and Michael Freeman. And I've never heard of any of these musicians, and that's the cool thing about coming to these cities and towns like this of such a small stature, of such musical importance, that you'll discover a lot of these musicians. And there goes Lucille Bogan right here. That's her right there. And she was the first blues singer to record outside New York or Chicago when she recorded in Atlanta for the Oki label in 1923. Black Angel Blues from 1930 was the first version of the song redone by B.B. King as Sweet Little Angel. So there she again, and then she has a quote right here. Did you hear that Frisco whistle blow? As she blowed just like she ain't ever blown before. I was standing at a station when that 4200 left town, burning down in oil, and that train was Kansas City bound. Now, my correction, my mistake. This isn't a quote. This is actually lyrics from her song 4200 Blues. Lucille Bogan and Bessie Jackson. So I'm guessing she recorded under the name Bessie Jackson. Okay, so her birth name was Lucille Bogan, but she recorded under the name of Bessie Jackson. Okay, that's interesting. Lucille Bogan. Oh, we already read that. But yeah, she basically made music, made songs that was reflective of the times, and that was when Amory was a huge railroad town and everything like that. And the Frisco ran through here. Again, this is a Frisco line, ran from St. Louis all the way to San Francisco, the San Francisco Railway. And here's the map right here. And as you can see where the yellow is, that's where Amory is located. Right there, Mississippi. But it runs as far down as to Pensacola, Florida, and all the way out westbound to San Francisco. Now, the St. Louis-San Francisco Railway, or the Frisco as it was called, transported thousands of East Mississippians northward, especially to its St. Louis hub during the Great Migration of African Americans. The 4200 and Lucille Bogan's song was the 282-4200, shown here on October 13th, 1940 in Kansas City. And this is an image by J.T. Boyd via Frisco Archive. And here's a picture of James Whitfield, who played with the Soul Kings and Black Express and also did some work on gospel recording sessions before forming the East Side West Side connection. And here in the photograph right here, you have Tony Whitfield. You have Clennell Westmoreland who played the guitar, Marquavius Whitfield on the drums, and James Whitfield keyboards, and Stanley Whitfield on the bass. So that's all them right there. So a lot of blues and gospel history here in Mississippi on the Mississippi Blues Trail. You also have Al Rachel at the bottom right here, who played with the Top Hats, the Vikings out of Tupelo, and various bands in the U.S. Air Force. And he was once nicknamed Little Al Capone. So he must have been a dangerous son of a gun then if he was named Little Al Capone. Yo, but you have Frank Swan right here, Charles Toy, and Amory's leading gospel singers have included Roger McKinney, shown on the right with Lee Williams and the Spiritual QCs and his brother Dudley McKinney. And you also have Tupelo being cited as the birthplace of Benny Sharp in the middle, and Richard Harmonica Slim Riggins in the right. And here's their records right here. You have Richard Riggins' record Dust My Broom, and you have Benny Sharp and the Sharpies with Music I Like Part 1. So I always said the titles of a lot of these music were very interesting, but the music was definitely dope. And here comes the photos courtesy of Jim O'Neill, Blue Historica Archives, and James Whitfield, and a bunch of University of Mississippi archives. And also, you know, you got more Monroe County blues histories on marker number 90 in Aberdeen, which we'll visit later. And Amory, yeah, you had the Amory girls recorded for the World Progress Administration. Willie Dixon, Big Walter Horton, Frank Swan, and Ricky Allen, and Earl Hooker, Albert King, Little Milton, Muddy Waters. All of these musicians were associated with the blues circuit right here in Mississippi. And again, the only Amory resident to emerge as a nationally known blues singer was Lucille Bogan, who also recorded under the name of Bessie Jackson. In the 1910 census, she was living in Amory, where her father worked for the Frisco. She also married a railroad man, Nazareth Bogan. Their son, Nazareth Jr., a musician, cited her birthplace as Amory, where he provided details for her death certificate, but census and social security records indicate that she was born in Birmingham, where she lived most of her life. And her 1923-35 recordings included many classics, some famously Baldy Boast, that songs dealt with street walking women, moonshine whiskey, and trains. So again, music was very reflective. They told stories of what the musician experienced, you know, through their lens and everything like that. And yeah, you know, Amory blues history revolves primarily around talented performers who have perpetuated the music as community entertainers, playing on weekends and after hours while holding regular daytime jobs. And you know, you had, you know, and at that time, you know, Monroe County was a dry county, so juke joints and nightclubs did not flourish as they did in many Mississippi towns. But blues found a place in the streets, cafes, house parties, secret hideaways, festivals, schools, receptions, reunions, American Legion Hut, and events at Frisco Park. And before we go, we got to get this image right here of the Mellow Tone record label record, and this was manufactured by the Brunswick Record Corporation, and it was the 4200 Blues lyrics that we recited not too long ago by Bessie Jackson. So really interesting history. So yeah, so she recorded, I guess she recorded under Lucille Bogan and Bessie Jackson. It's pretty cool. So let's continue, shall we? I'm gonna walk right across here real quick and come right back across the street. They have a fitness center right there called 1529, and they also have a little food market right here at the end called Peddler's Point. But I came across the street so I can get this really nice, dope sculpture called A-Town Blues. And the name of the sculpture actually is Vinegar Bend, and it was an award-winning sculpture by the Amory career and technical students Josh Barnes, Haley Kilgore, and John Ethan Sharp. And it was inspired by the great Mississippi blues, which no other music influenced and shaped many great artists such as B.B. King, Elvis Presley, and Bo Diddley. And the history of Vinegar Bend is reflected by the vinegar jugs used during the times of horse-drawn wagons. And it was rumored that a bootlegger resided in the area, and the vinegar bottles were filled with the recipe by the bootlegger. The Flower Lovers Garden Club, December 2015. So shout out to the Amory career and technical students, Josh Barnes, Haley Kilgore, and John Sharp. Did a wonderful job at putting this sculpture together to be on display for the local residents and visitors such as myself. So really cool sculpture right there. And right across the street where that red and white awning is the historic Bill's Hamburgers. Bill's Hamburgers restaurant. So they have a major burger joint right here. Southern Crossing Outfitters. And we have some more really nice artwork right here. You have this nice artwork of the Frisco train passing over a railroad bridge. And it says Experience Amory. Has Edward Jones right there. And it's a railroad bridge right there. JHW Studio 2014. Credited with for this artwork. JHW Studio also did this nice painting right here of the Mississippi state flag with the slogan "In God We Trust," and these really nice angel wings right here. It says CMC, 2 underlines underneath it. Of course, you have the American flag right there, and you have Love 1887, the same year that Amory was established. Really nice. And then this is also by JHW Studio 2022, and I've seen these Love Lock Park sculptures in quite a few towns. You have a bunch of locks, you know, where couples can leave their marks. They can put their names, and you can get a lock and put it here. It's really nice. It's really dope. You could tell they did a really nice job of revitalizing the downtown area, keeping it nice and current, and you know, Amory strong. Really another nice sculpture. There goes the railroad again. There goes the football, and that looks like a panther right there, or a mountain lion or something of that nature. This is done by CR. You can see right there. They have a Chili Fest. They must have a event here called the Chili Fest. And this is also by the JHW Studio. It has a drink Coca-Cola. You know, we've seen plenty of those type of murals in different cities and towns. So shout out to JHW Studio for the beautiful artwork here. As we continue on walking down Main Street. The main event, Amory Main Street. So this is pretty dope. They got a bunch of these 1529 cutouts right here, little designs. 1529, different colors, different paints. Really dope. And here's another one right here in iron. Now 1529, for those that are wondering, the 1529 was the name of the steam locomotive on the historic Frisco train. This is the bend at Lucky Tap. So they have looks like they have a little pizza social like type of vibe here. Live music venue. They're building something over here. Continuing to add to the flavor of downtown, which is really cool. White Oak Realty. Right across the street, they have what's called All That and a Little More. Sells home decor, gifts, and wedding type stuff. And they also have Magnolia soap. I've seen a couple of those in Mississippi. I'm thinking that's more than likely a regional thing, because I haven't seen that particular company anywhere else aside from Mississippi. Green's Blossom Shop. They got a spot called The Grind. Move Well clothing shop right here. Right across the street, they have old historical building. It looks like at one point in time it was a fabric center. Southern Mags, boutiques, and gifts across the street. There's the Amory city flag blowing in the wind. Got a salon and spa. This is school district, Amory School District, admin offices. Amory Utilities Building, Harbor Financial. So there's a lot of economic activity downtown Amory. They have the deli, 802, soup and sandwiches. A lot of neat restaurants and boutiques and all type of cool stuff down here. Pistol Blondies. You have an embroidery shop over here too, called the Golden Goose. Oak Bridge Insurance. Check this out. Private parties, live DJ, Main Street Oakry LLC. We buy and sell vinyls and CDs, new and used. Okay, really cool, really cool. So apparently that's like a like one of those vintage record shops. They have family variety shows. So I guess it's something similar to how the Grand Opry is in Nashville, Tennessee. Really, really nice. This looks like right here, it used to either be a garage, like a oil change center, or like a service station, or probably a combination of both. And what's interesting is that Amory was actually incorporated post Civil War, so it's not any Civil War type history in this area, at least in this town. And further down this street, there's like a church, and that right there is the post office. So you got the U.S. Post Office right there. But let me get over here to the main attraction, the show-stopping, I guess, site, if you will, right across the street at this park. Before we get over there, though, let me come over here to this historical building right next to the Guarantee Bank. Now this right here, this historic building right here was once the, what's it called? Park Hotel right here. As you can see, established 1926. They got the glass door right there. And this is a very historic hotel, especially during the heyday of passenger railroad traffic. This seems like this would have been a premier like lodging spot where people can come and chill after a long railroad trip, whether you're coming from cross country in California or whether you're coming from St. Louis, wherever the case may be, you know, come over here. And it was established 1926 right here in downtown, and it was actually purchased in 2019 by its new owner Amory in order to revitalize and convert ground level into commercial space and upper levels into apartments. So I'm guessing the upper levels have to be apartments and the ground level is for commercial space. So it has been revitalized in 2019 with Mr. Holly purchased the building. And you know, you have the historic hotel right there, but the surrounding building right here looks relatively abandoned. We're gonna check and see what's going on over here. So they have a food pantry over here, so they do have something open over here on this end of this building. Amory Mills, Amory Food Pantry. So that's good. They have something for the community, for the less fortunate. First and third Tuesdays between 8 and 11 a.m. So where they pass out food to the hungry. So I always like to see that. I always like to see basically community oriented events. And this is a really nice painting, again, on one of these 1529 iron sculptures. This was actually done in memory of Lindsay Franklin Patterson. So R.I.P. to Pat Patterson. Then of course you have the mural right here of Amory in the red, yellow, and green color, established 1887 by who else but JHW Studio in 2010. It's really cool right there as well. And this used to be a retail shop, garage, something of that sort. So let me go ahead and cross over here. We're gonna come over here by City Hall and this really nice railroad park, really nice city park. So this is where the railroad tracks are. Now they do have fire rescue over there. Check this out. It's how you know how modernized this park is when they have this right here, where you could actually, this would be a good, you know, place for people to take pictures, photo ops, things like that. Downtown Amory, Mississippi. It's really cool. And here goes it's really nice like molding of the hands right here. There's a couple of them. Michael Feinstein, 10204. And this is a clock right here. That's in you can see right here the city clock. That's in memoriam of Mary Kilpatrick Haskell. From July 17, 1925, April 20th, 1987. 1987. So that's about 61 years of age. to everything, there is a season and a time and a purpose under God's heaven. God's timing is not marked by the hours in the day or hands of a clock, but by the habits of our hearts and the hands we extend in grace to others. The legacy of Mary Kilpatrick Haskell lives on in the hearts of her family and friends in a special way through the participants and volunteers of the Stars Over Mississippi concert series. The clock was lovingly presented to the citizens of Amory on July 17, 2005 to commemorate the 80th birthday of Mary Kirkpatrick Haskell. The family of Samuel Bond Haskell III, Sam married Sam Ford, and Mary Lane. So R.I.P. to Mary Kirkpatrick Haskell. It's really nice. They dedicated that to her. And there goes again. There goes the Park Hotel from this angle. This is really cool. They have these colorful cut out iron cast sculptures of the 1529 steam locomotive, which we're about to get closer up to in just a minute. But yep, this is Frisco Park. Go ahead and cross over here. So this is a Frisco Park. You have an interactive, opportunities out here. You just come out and just vibe. And it sits right over here. Again, that's Amory City Hall right there. And it says interactive fountain, but I guess the fountains aren't going right now. But these are the individuals who played a part in designing these fountains. Memorials over here in this park. Martha Dalrymple, James Cummins, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Tomey, Mr. and Mrs. Larry Clark, Beta Sigma Phi, Psi Alpha Alpha. There's the bank, the local community banks. And then the project engineer, you got to give a shout out to the engineers, Randy Hollis, the surveyor, Roy Starks Construction, Water Splash and JBS Construction, and the sprinkler system, Ben Wright and Chuck Moffitt. Shout out to all those individuals, part of the blue collar workers, of America. But yep, Amory City Hall over there. Also the fire station. Fire and rescue over there. And there she is, the 1529 Frisco steam locomotive in all its glory. And this is the real deal Holyfield. This isn't no counterfeit. This isn't no replica. This is the authentic Frisco steam locomotive, 1529, preserved for historical purposes. It's really dope, man, really dope. And they have some information, some history regarding the Frisco. Now, 15,000 people cheered for President Roosevelt, and when he spoke briefly from the train platform. And here's an image of Franklin D. Roosevelt back in 1935 during his visit to Amory. And as you can see, again, he's speaking from the train platform. And a crowd estimated at 15,000 greeted President and Mrs. Roosevelt here today when their special train passed through Amory. Congressman John Rankin, who was aboard the train, presented Mrs. Roosevelt and then the president. Mrs. Roosevelt expressed her gratitude at being able to visit North Mississippi and voice her appreciation of the beautiful weather prevailing. So yeah, it was, so they took the train through Amory. They also took a train through Nettleton and other nearby towns of Mississippi that's on the rail line. And So shout out to them. And here are all the sponsors right here: BNSF Railway, Amory Main Street Incorporated, Amory Regional Museum, and the Frisco building. Dedication brings old and new together. So again, you had but this in 1953, when Amory, with the mixed music of a brass band and railroad whistles, Thursday, as 5,500 people turned out to help dedicate the new $200,000 Amory Division office building of the Frisco Railroad. So when you think about it, you know, like, you had a combination of railroads and music going up in the air. That had to be a really good combination of the two. And visitors also witnessed the formal gift to the city of Locomotive 1529, a retired Frisco oil burner which pulled the special train of Franklin D. Roosevelt through this area in 1934. Among visitors were Governor Hugh White and high-ranking officers of the railroad. And Governor White made a speech of the day and basically predicted that this retired locomotive will one day become a popular attraction for sightseers such as myself. And within 10 years, at that time, he said, within 10 years, there won't be any steam engines left. He said, and this will probably be the only one in North Mississippi. So this was in the 1950s, mind you. So, you know, of course, you know, the railroads started becoming obsolete, at least for passenger traffic, for passenger travel. And the automobiles were ascending in popularity and usage, and the highway system was established in the 60s, and the rest is history. And it's an image right here by James Kinsley. James Kinsley took this photograph of the 1529 locomotive in 1953. And this steam engine was formally presented to the city of Amory, Mississippi. And the master mechanic, B.G. Gamble, who's right here on the left, and division superintendent E.A. Daughtery, they inspect the train and inspect the engine. And, you know, so that way they can make sure, obviously, that everything is copacetic, is good to run. All the walkie-talkies and the radio system, the brakes, all of the mechanical aspects of the 1529 locomotive all check out. And the 2012 restoration of the Frisco 1529 and the ornamental iron fence was made possible by the following generous sponsor contributions. And we saw those contributors on this particular poster right here. So the weight of the engine is 350,000 pounds. The weight of the tender is 238,000. Tractive effort 50,800. And it was built between April and June of 1926 with a total weight of 588,890 pounds. And it holds up to 11,000 gallons of water and 4,500 gallons of oil. So this baby definitely has to be lubricated and oiled up to run at its peak performance. So yeah, this is the Frisco 1529 up close and personal, and you've seen it right here with P9 on P9 Travel Vlogs, right here in the heart of downtown Amory, Mississippi, which leads us to the conclusion of this vlog. I'd like to thank everybody for tapping into this vlog and rocking with me for this historic railroad city right here in the heart of Northeast Mississippi. If you made it this far, make sure you tap that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. And once you hit the bell, make sure you hit select all. That way you get notified every time I drop a new vlog such as this one. That in mind, good people, thanks for tuning in, and I'm out. Peace.